right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's always exciting to get to speak to people who have achieved things that they've been really, really trying hard to achieve. And we have done this so many times with different authors and different people out there. And I want to tell you, if you are an author and you have a dream of being a successful writer, there is a contest, and we've talked about it before. It's the Writers of the Future contest. One of the reasons why I like this contest so much is because it is free. And the reason I like it because it's free. In other words, it's not just because it's free that I like it, but whenever you hear about a contest, you have to be skeptical of whether the motives behind the contest runners are really just doing this to make some money. And you know this happens all the time. But we used to see this when we worked over at the Cascades. We would see girls out on the beautiful garden. They would get their picture taken, and what they were doing is they were entering this contest, and they would pay like $100 or something like that to enter this contest. And not to say that the contest didn't yield a winner, not to say that the winner didn't end up doing something, but in the meantime, you know, they have 1,000 girls each paid $100, and guess what? The company just made $100,000.
Yeah.
You know, so and you have 99 people who didn't, or 999 people, whatever it would be, who didn't win anything. So that's why I like this contest. It is, in addition to that, the Writers of the Future contest gives feedback, and in addition to that, let me just read these statistics real quickly. The mentoring process has proven to be successful. The 368 past winners of the writing contest have published, are you ready for this? 838 novels, nearly 4,000 short stories. They have produced 27 New York Times bestsellers. Their works have sold over 50 million copies. And in addition to the writers, there's also the illustrators. For all of you budding artists, listen to this. The 298 past winners of the illustrating contest have produced over 4,500 illustrations, 356 comic books. Their artwork has been seen in 594 books and albums, with their art and visually contributed to 36 TV shows and 46 major motion pictures. And that's not even talking about the prize money and that cool Oscar-like event that they have for the winners out in Hollywood, California. It is really cool. And so let's talk to somebody who actually entered this contest. Stephen Merlino is on the phone. He's a very accomplished writer. He's a teacher. What did it say about his teaching? He teaches English and American history at Mount Lake Terrace High School and lives in Seattle, Washington. He's on the phone right now. He's a researcher on Shakespeare. He is inspiring young people to reading and writing. He leads tours in Great Britain and in the American West. He's an award-winning author. He's got a book called The Jack of Souls, by the way. It's a science fiction fantasy novel. Stephen Merlino, what an honor to be able to speak to you. Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
I apologize for the long intro, but I'm just so impressed. I mean, the reason we're talking to you is about this contest. Obviously, you've got the talent necessary, but I wanted to make sure that the contest was mentioned because of the people out there who are like you, who were where you were maybe 2 years ago. I don't know how long ago you entered this thing, but...
Yeah, I entered this last year. It's done on a quarterly basis, so you actually get 4 shots in 1 year, and I entered 3 times because I missed one of the deadlines, but on my 3rd try I was a winner, and I got a chance to revise a little bit in between times because I obviously didn't get the result I wanted the first 2 times, and it was a really extraordinary experience because I've had my eye on this one for quite a while. I know it's a pretty special contest.
So your story is in the Writers of the Future Volume 32?
That's right. It comes out in April. Every year there's 12 winners, 3 from each quarter, and each of the stories, the winning stories, is produced in a Writers of the Future anthology, which is also published with a couple other big-name writers' stories like Orson Scott Card or Larry Niven or David Wolverton or somebody like that, Nancy Kress. And these, so there's 32. This will be the 32nd volume of these short stories.
Yeah.
And then all of the winners go for a gala, and then that's when the top winner is awarded. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. So then the top winner is awarded and announced at the gala, and that's called the Golden Pen Award. And it's the culmination of a week-long all expense paid conference that they put on, and it's just extraordinary. It really, you've got people there, the big names in science fiction and fantasy attend, and some of them give classes all week to the 12 winners. And there's also, as you said in your intro, there's also the same things going on at the same time for the illustrators. So there'd be big artists there giving instruction, and it's such a generous contest. There's really nothing like it.
So when you entered and did not win, did you get the mentoring following it, the mentoring process, and did you resubmit a story again?
Yeah, you're able to resubmit the same story if you want to, and I didn't see a lot of sense in resubmitting it without tweaking it first, so I did tweak it. I know that there isn't the mentoring happens really after you win.
Okay.
There are so many submissions they couldn't possibly give. In the quarter that I submitted, there were more than 8,000 stories submitted, and they couldn't possibly give feedback for each one.
So how did you know how to tweak it? I mean, you have a story, you've crafted it, and you've considered that this is the contest winner. So you send it in, and then it doesn't win, but you think it should, so you tweak it. Who do you get the feedback from to figure out where the tweaking needs to take place?
Yeah, that's I love that you asked that, because it really, writing is really rewriting. Anything that we get on the shelf in a store has been rewritten. That sucker has been processed. It has gone through readers and probably other writer readers who, a good reader can say, yeah, that worked for me, or no, it didn't. But a writer reader can tell you, this didn't work for me, and here's why. And, if you have enough really good writers and smart readers sort of vetting your stuff, you should have a good idea.
So you have that? I mean, you have like a circle of writer readers that you rely on? And are you one for them? Do you do the same thing for them?
Absolutely. This Sunday, I was sitting around a table in a coffee shop in Seattle with 10 other writers, 6 of whom had submitted a chapter of a novel or a short story, and we had all read it and written up comments, and then we would go around in a circle, and everybody's got 3 minutes to share their main point.
Oh, really?
And deliver the quiz. Yeah, it's really, you can't, Stephen King calls writing a telepathic process, where you get an image of a story and a scene in your head, and then you put down marks with black ink on white paper.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So that somebody else can look at those black marks and get the same image in their head.
I saw this.
Wow.
Did you see that?
No. I want to tell you a little story. I saw this the other day in a different way. Robert and I play music, and we're not big time anything. We just play sometimes at like nursing homes. And the other day we were at this nursing home, and we were playing, and this sweet little lady, she sat down, she had her walker, and she got into the chair next to the lamp. And after she's listening to us play music for a little while, she opens her purse and she pulls out a letter from an envelope. And she's reading it, and I see her smiling, and I'm thinking to myself, I bet you that did not just arrive. Mm-hmm. I bet she's reading that again, and whoever put those black marks on that paper are communicating something, as you say, telepathically. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And she's chuckling at something. I can't tell what she's chuckling at. But somehow she's being moved by those little marks on that paper. And it's the same thing you do as an author, in a professional way.
Exactly. And if a reader tells me that they didn't get the image that I wanted them to get, then I've got to figure out how to change those little black marks so that they get what I'm trying to get them to get. That
is really insightful. So as you progress, do you think you'll be doing that more or less? Do you think somebody like Stephen King or any other accomplished author, do you think they do that more as far as getting feedback from other writers?
I can't speak for him, but I don't think so. I think as I improve, I will rely on that less, but I don't see the end of that road yet. I rely very heavily on readers. A lot of times, and I suppose that's one of the reasons Stephen King is so prolific, is that he probably has just a few. He probably has narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 friends that he he gives it to, and he probably has a great editor and a relationship. I hope I get to the point where I don't need to spend as much time getting feedback, but I'm still at a point where I do.
Hard though. Robert and I judge student videos every once a year. In fact, we're going to do it this month, next month, sometime.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
March.
And every video has a sheet of paper, and on that sheet of paper we grade it based on this, that, and the other thing. The last thing on the page is always the hardest thing. It says, next time you might want to blank. And then we as judges are supposed to write down something that's constructively critical. It's all, and once in a while I'll say, gosh, they did such a good job. I'm just going to write, next time you might want to send me a pizza because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I can't. So isn't it hard sometimes to be critical and constructive at the same time?
Well, not if. Usually, in the groups where I go, the writers are so strong. I'm usually swept up in the story most of the time, and it's only when I feel myself dropping out of the story that a flag goes up, and it's sort of it's pretty easy to find places where they've missed an opportunity, or this was a really fun scene, but you could really turn the volume up on the comedy if you did this, or if I understood this better, the payoff would be better at the end of the chapter. So I guess it's pretty easy once you're in the flow of, once you have sort of the template in your mind of how story works. It's a lot easier as a reader to see the shortcomings than you can as a writer when you're in the thick of it trying to create it. So no, I don't find it difficult to see opportunities, but there are times when somebody brings a story and I don't have much to say because I was swept up and enjoyed it the whole time.
Oh, okay. Stephen, we have to take a little break. Stephen Merlino is our guest, and his book is called The Jack of Souls. We haven't even asked him about the book yet, but I also want to ask him about the whole contest and about the ceremony, that award ceremony.
And about his attack chickens.
He has attack chickens?
Oh. Yeah, I got to find out about those.
Let's go to that after the break. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, variable cloudiness with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, high 78 to 82. And partly cloudy and mild tonight, those 64 to 68. Mostly cloudy and becoming windy tomorrow with some thunderstorms around mainly during the late morning and afternoon hours when they can produce damaging wind gusts, even an isolated tornado. The high tomorrow 78 to 82. Thursday, sunshine, breezy, and much cooler, high 65 to 69. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
A chaotic environment makes us feel out of control, so we eat and try to control how we're feeling. A recent study found that for every 3 hours we spend working, only 2 are actually productive, which means 1/3 of our work time is totally wasted. Carpet fibers are fluffy, so there's less surface area touching the food that's dropped compared to a wood floor, so fewer germs are transferred.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hey, I'm Gary. And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
Yep, we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too.
Well, as a matter of fact, join me, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive, every Tuesday at 10 for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
All right, Stephen Merlino is on the phone. He's the author of The Jack of Souls. He is also the winner of the Writers of the Future contest. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Volume 32 is where you will find one of his stories. Which story made it into the book, Stephen?
Well, I actually, the short story's name is also The Jack of Souls because I took it from, basically what I did was I had read that a very accomplished author named Patrick Rothfuss had won also like a couple years ago, maybe been 10 years ago now. He'd won a place in the contest, by taking a piece of his unpublished novel and creating a short story out of it and entering it. And that way he got attention from publishers. And I thought, well, I should do that. And I looked at my novel, The Jack of Souls, and I couldn't really find a chapter that I could rework into a short story. So I thought, maybe I'll just write a new chapter, like an unpublished chapter that could function as a short story. So I did that. It's sort of a chapter 0. It takes place in the hours before the scene in which the novel starts.
Oh, wow.
So
it's like a prequel.
Yeah, it's like a prequel.
Oh, wow.
Stands by itself as a short story, and it was a lot of fun to write it.
I really like the fact that you are so enthralled with Shakespeare and the way he writes. It is just amazing to me how you can be so caught up in him and his type of writing and then write something like this in science fiction.
Well, yeah. I mean, The Jack of Souls is fantasy, and it's I think of Shakespeare as fantasy in a lot of ways. It not necessarily the stories, but his world is like a fantasy world, the world of Shakespeare. And when you're reading Shakespeare, you have a half a page of text, his text, and then you have half a page of footnotes at the bottom that interprets what he's talking about. And that is so fascinating. He'll make an offhand reference to a bean-fed horse in Midsummer Night's Dream, and you'll have to go down to the references to see that. What's funny about that is if you feed beans to a horse, certain kinds of beans, I've been told, can hurt a horse, but I guess other kinds just make them really gassy. And so if you want to play a prank on a friend and you get the right kind of beans, this person will be riding to market with a very gassy horse. And they'll be very embarrassed. And, it's a good prank as long as you know what you're doing and you're not feeding the horse something toxic to them. But because I have a 4-H student who, when I shared that with them, said that it's really dangerous to feed beans to a horse because they can get colic. But I guess if you know what you're doing, you can use the right kind of beans, and it'll just be embarrassing for the rider.
I wonder what that was like back then. Did the guys date the girls? I'll pick you up on my horse later on. And then she says, "Gosh, your horse is farting so much. Oh, I'm so embarrassed." Jimmy did that. It wasn't me. Jimmy gave him beans.
Especially if they're attached to a buggy, right? And you're riding behind.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the only way to do it, I would think.
Yeah, that just that kind of thing just tickles me, and it makes me imagine a world where that's what's going on. Where you don't have a car, you have a horse, and your friend can spike the horse's oats and sort of play a prank on
That's
you.
crazy. So tell me about the attack chickens, since we're talking about animals. What is that?
We had this year, my wife was excited to get chickens, and so we're in the middle of, right next to the University of Washington in Seattle, so right in the middle of Seattle. But there's an ordinance that says you can have chickens up to 7 without a rooster, and so we thought that'd be fun. It'd be great to have fresh eggs and everything. So we set it up. We got our whole place penned in, and we got 3 chickens, actually 4, and one of them turned out to be a rooster, so that couldn't stay.
He ended up as nuggets? Did he end up as Super Bowl food?
Well, we told our children that he went off to a farm where all the roosters play.
Yeah.
And, so I suppose, though, that, yeah, he's probably
Okay.
But, the sad thing is that after 8 months of chickens and wonderful eggs, one night we woke up and they were all gone. And when I say gone, I mean there were piles of fluff everywhere, and they met a gory demise, and it was very swift, and we had no warning. And I guess it was raccoons. I guess it could have been possum, but it was hard to imagine a possum moving fast enough to get 3 chickens. Anyway, it was.
So it's the attacked chickens, not the attack chickens. Though the chickens were attacked.
They thought they were attack chickens. They had a lot of bluster. But,
I bet they did.
I guess it wasn't enough for a raccoon.
So how has life changed for you since winning the contest? And have you been to Hollywood before?
I have not, unless I guess as a child I went to Universal Studios, and I saw that was right around the time Jaws was big, and we saw the Jaws.
Oh yeah, the rubber shark. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was very exciting. But no, I haven't been since, and I'm kind of overwhelmed with the possibility of going down there. And this event, as you said, is very Oscar-like. I have to get a tuxedo and
That's
dress up
cool.
my kids, and
That's cool.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I've heard it said that it is the biggest deal anyone will ever make of your writing career. So,
Well, and isn't that interesting? Because we've heard that before, and you would think that there'd be some kind of a big deal for writers. I mean, there's a big deal for songs and for movies.
Exactly.
There should be a big deal
you're right.
for books. I think. Well, what's the matter with us? How come we don't have an award ceremony for books?
We should.
a good
They're rock
point.
stars.
yeah, we should get an Oscars for books.
It might help encourage people to read more. I mean, we have a healthy reading crowd, I think, in America, but we could do better,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
I like the
who
fact.
would do that?
I like the fact that you encourage young people to read and to write, because there are no limits once they immerse themselves in the magic of a book, and then all of a sudden they're trying their creative hand at something with their own pen. It's really, really amazing how far a child can go and what their topics will be.
Yeah, it's unlimited, and it's writing itself. For me at first, and for a lot of young people, it's just a wonderful tool for sort of sorting yourself out. Just journaling and the more miles you get on your pen, it doesn't really matter what you're writing about. It could just be you're writing about your teenage angst or whatever. But the more miles you get on your pen, the more you work out sort of the resistance between your brain and your fingers as you're writing, and you just become more fluent. So by the time you have something you want to say in a story or something, it comes a lot easier. So
I want to ask you something. As a teacher and a Shakespeare expert, I have a question for you. The other day I found something in my desk, and I said to Robin, this is my handwriting, but I didn't write this. I must have written this for somebody else. I must have been like transcribing or something, because these aren't my words. And I know my own writing, and I hear people all the time saying that they can, just like I can tell if a song is sometimes written by somebody, because I'm more into music, so I can tell that sounds like a song that maybe Paul Simon would have written, or somebody that I'm familiar with, okay? So as somebody familiar with Shakespeare, when you hear that, you've ever heard like the when you look up Snopes to see if it's true or not, and you never know if it's true, that Shakespeare was more than one person, that it wasn't all Shakespeare. Couldn't you, as somebody who's studied Shakespeare, know just by reading his work that it is the same guy?
To a certain extent, I think yes, and there are scholars who are far more versed in Shakespeare than I am. But part of my master's study in Shakespeare exposed me to a lot of his contemporaries, and one of the things about Shakespeare, he had a gift for metaphor and a gift for verbal inventing words that you just don't see in his contemporaries. You see flashes of it sometimes in Ben Jonson or some of the other playwrights, but Shakespeare he's extraordinary. His mind, when you read Shakespeare, you're in a mind that is really head and shoulders above his contemporaries. And so I find it really hard to think that there were more than one person doing that. If there had been the internet back then and you had a brain trust somewhere, a Manhattan Project, putting out those plays, well, okay, maybe. But this is one dude with a pen, and it's not like you could crowdsource the thing.
That's right. Stephen, what a joy to talk to you. Thank you so much. Congratulations on winning the prize. Again, the work, the chapter that Stephen wrote for that won him the award in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 32, is called The Jack of Souls. And we've got 30 seconds. And to get that book, to get the book that we just talked about, go to writersofthefuture.com, I think. Right, Robin?
He's got his own website, Stephen.
No, I know, but I mean for this book, The Writers of the Future Volume. Okay.
Yes.
And then for Stephen, for your work, it's yourname.com, StephenMerlino.com?
Yeah, and you can find The Jack of Souls on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardback. Okay. That's where the book is. And news on The Jack of Souls and its sequel, The Knave of Souls, coming out this summer, I hope, is on my website.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu.
For many years, it's been clear that the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay does not advance our national security.
President Obama just now speaking out on the controversial detention center in Cuba, saying it undermines U.S. values. This as the Defense Department formally submits to Congress the administration's plan for closing Gitmo. The plan doesn't endorse endorse a specific facility to house the detainees who can't be safely transferred to other countries at this time.
At the president's request, the Pentagon began looking last year for sites in the U.S. where the detainees could be held, including federal facilities in Colorado, South Carolina, and Kansas.